feeling today, and I saw that most are feeling good, so I'm really glad to hear that. And as we go along, we'll be posting some more questions, so please feel free to participate. But yeah, as you hear, we're here today to talk about Better You, Better Me, which is really going to look at how to boost your self-confidence and to improve your motivation. And how the two of them are connected is something I'm going to cover with you as well. So if we can get one sorted, we can get the other sorted, which is exciting. So, just a quick overview of what we'll look at. We'll unpack what is self-confidence, what is motivation, why do we struggle with self-confidence? I know that is something for many of us. How do you boost your self-confidence? Also, why do we tend to struggle with being motivated? And I think lockdown has possibly knocked us in many ways when it comes to our motivation and our goals. I'm going to look at a theory of motivation with you that explains where motivation comes from and how we are sort of directed in terms of motivation, and then a few tips on staying motivated as well, before finishing off with just a few resources that are available if there is anyone that is struggling or anyone that knows of anyone struggling during this particular time. All right. So without any further ado, let's get going. Um, as I said to you, yeah, self-confidence is something that knocks us all at some time or other. I certainly find I go through a bit of a roller coaster when it comes to self-confidence. Some days my self-confidence is really high, and other times not so high. Depends on the situation. But really, what self-confidence is when we have confidence and trust within ourselves and in our powers and abilities. So it's about knowing that we can do something, or knowing that we have the knowledge and the ability to do something. So it's very closely linked to self-esteem. The difference is that self-esteem is how we evaluate ourselves as a person. So we tend to maybe also go through stages, but we view ourselves as negative or positive, or our self-esteem is often negative or positive. Whereas self-confidence is more about our belief in our abilities to be able to do certain tasks or perform in a certain way. So you can certainly see how they're connected, because if you are going through a patch of low self-esteem, or if you generally are an individual that struggles with low self-esteem, you're probably going to find that your self-confidence is low. Your belief in your ability to do things and to do them well is going to be affected because you have low self-esteem. And on the other hand, an individual with high self-esteem is also going to be quite self-confident, because they feel good about themselves. They view themselves in a very positive light, excuse me, and therefore feel that they have the ability to do things. And as we improve our self-confidence, our self-esteem will go up. And as our self-esteem improves, our self-confidence will go up. So as you can see, there's a very tight connection between the two there. All right, so a question to pose on to you on that side, just to see that everybody's with us. How would you rate your self-confidence right now? How would you rate your confidence level? Do you give it a 10 out of 10? Are you feeling super confident? Are you maybe walking on the line and feeling more average about your confidence? Or do you feel that your confidence is quite low or quite poor and less than a 5? So if you wouldn't mind going on to the Mentimeter, which Tabo shared with us at the beginning, and just give yourself a rating there, and let's see how everyone's feeling in terms of their confidence levels.
Carol, I can see that the scores are coming in. We've got 2 people rating themselves 6 out of 10, and 1 less than 5 out of 10, poor.
All right.
For Barbara, who rated herself on the chat, some of them, please just a reminder to go to menti.com, because in that way we're able to gather all of the data, and to do it then it would be completely automatic. But some of the scores that are coming through is 10 out of 10 from Barbara, 5 out of 10 from Cindy, 8 out of 10 for Kamwanya, and 9 out of 10 for Nzuko. So there's some great confidence levels coming out of that.
That's lovely. Thank you, Val. I hope then those individuals might feel willing to share some of their tips that help to get their self-confidence up to those high levels. So we'll definitely tap into that later.
But on Menti currently, the most popular one is 6 out of 10 average. 5 people have voted for that. So they're feeling average confidence and a couple poor.
Okay, thank you, Val. Well, hopefully with some of the tips that we look at today, we can help individuals to boost that self-confidence and practice some of those tips. And maybe by later today, they will be feeling super confident, or that they have a 10 out of 10. So that can be our goal for this morning. All right. So there were a few then that Val was sharing have scored themselves quite low or poor in terms of self-confidence. And why is this? Why do we struggle with self-confidence? As I said, it may not be a constant thing. We have good days and bad days, and I think that's the way with life in general. But sometimes it's the voices in our heads, or the voices that we listen to and that we allow ourselves to listen to, that impact our self-confidence. So it's not that we don't even have the abilities or we don't have the knowledge to do something. It's just that we're allowing that negative talk in our head to impact us. So some of the things that the little voices say to us are, I can't do it, or I'm not worthy, I must be perfect all the time, nobody loves me, nobody cares about me, nobody sees me, I'm just not good enough, or I must not make a mistake. So that goes back to that whole being perfect. And where that little inner voice comes from is often, due to experiences we've had in our lives where individuals and maybe loved ones have even unwittingly, knocked our self-esteem. They've made us feel that we're not worthy, or that we must be perfect all the time. And those are, I think, quite interesting questions to ask ourselves, is to sit and say, well, where does this lack of confidence come from? Where do those voices that I hear in my head come from? And can I maybe challenge them? Maybe that was a really long time ago when I made a mistake, or, I wasn't quite where I am today. Maybe it's time to let that go. Maybe it's time to review where I am now and to challenge that negative voice and flip it around. And I'll give you a little mantra at the end of this to use that can help you with that. So some tips to boost your self-confidence, and I'd like to, after this year, from those with good self-confidence, what are some of the tips that you maybe use, or some of the things that help you? But a key one, and it sounds quite silly, but stand up straight or sit up straight. Remember that your mind and your body are connected. They're actually one. So how you feel affects how you hold yourself, and how you hold yourself affects how you feel. So as soon as we sit up confidently, put our shoulders back a little bit, lift our head a little bit, we telling ourselves, we telling our body that I am more confident. That is also something that we are putting out there, the energy or the message that we are sharing with others, the impression that we are making. So our mind then starts to process and feel that I am confident because I'm looking confident right now. Other little physical things for me, I find maybe the way that I dress can help me boost my self-confidence. Sometimes just for the ladies, putting on our favorite color lipstick immediately sends a message, that I'm feeling more confident and I'm looking more confident today. For the gentlemen, it might be putting on their favorite tie, or such as the chap in this particular picture, maybe our favorite suit or shirt or something like that. And immediately we're sending those positive thoughts to our mind, and that sort of positive feeling to our mind, and our body and our mind are in sync. And that's the sort of message we will give across to individuals as well. And then stop comparing yourself to others. Move instead to a self-to-self comparison, and remember that you're always learning and growing. So that's one of the mistakes we make. We always look at other individuals and think, oh my goodness, look how far they are already. Look how well they're doing in terms of their studies or where they are in their life. And something very important, and I unfortunately don't remember who said it to me, which is really sad, but somebody once said to me, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 5. And that made a lot of sense to me. We are all in different places in our lives. We might be a little bit ahead in terms of something like, paying off our debt and purchasing, a car or something like that, or having got our qualifications that we've been studying towards. We all on different places and in different spaces in our lives, and it's not necessary to compare ourselves to others and where they are. They're probably doing the same thing as well, and we don't even realize that. Look at yourself and compare yourself to where you were maybe a few months, a few years ago, and look at how you've grown and changed and what you've achieved, rather than using somebody else's life journey as your yardstick. And then focus on what you think. Trust that you know what works best for you, and stop worrying about what others think. It ties into number 2 as well. We're always so worried about what will so and so think if I do this, or sometimes even when it comes to speaking, what will they think if I open my mouth and I express how I'm feeling, or I share that information with someone. Think about how you think. Worry more about what you think, and trust that you know what's best for you. Then boost your strengths. Find ways to use and grow your strengths. It's your biggest opportunity for growth and success in life. So to me, a very important thing to do, and many of us don't do it, we rely on others again, but write down what you think your strengths are. What do you think you've achieved? What do you think your strengths are? You might be, for example, a very trusting, kind person. You might be the sort of person that people often turn to for support. You might be a very diligent, self-motivated individual. Write down what your strengths are, and acknowledge those, and also see how you can build on those and use them in your life to help you feel confident and help to achieve more goals as you go along. And then on the flip side of that, accept your weaknesses. I don't even really like the word weaknesses, to be honest, because I don't believe that people are weak. I believe we all have growth areas that we still need to work on. So look at how you could acknowledge those. I, for example, know I need to work on my assertiveness. I am not an assertive person. I tend to give in to others a lot, and I don't often stand up for myself and express how I feel with honesty. And it's something I know I constantly need to work on and improve on. And having flaws makes us more lovable, while perfection is hard to love. I think if you think about it, you can all think of someone that's a perfectionist, and sometimes they can be a little bit frustrating. They're not often very flexible, and they can drive you a little bit crazy. Where when we have our flaws and we are proud of our flaws, and we know that there's something we need to work on, it makes us that little bit more human, if I can put it that way. Spend time with people who make you feel good. You're already fabulous, but it doesn't hurt to be reminded. So, we use the term toxic people. I don't know if you've come across that term, but there are sometimes individuals in our lives who are quite draining, and they are quite toxic, to us. They are the individuals that maybe have their own agendas, and therefore they tend to beat us down a lot. They point out our flaws to us a lot. It's important in your tribe, as we often say, that you surround yourself with people who make you feel good and who build you up. They are going to help you build your self-confidence, and you are going to do the same for them. And that can be as basic as giving compliments when they needed, or when they deserved, and helping the person to point out, what their strengths are, because maybe they can't see them, and being, supportive and caring towards that individual. And then an important thing to remember is that anyone can learn self-confidence. We can fake it till we make it. And the thing, like with point one, is the more we fake it, the more we convince ourselves that we're confident by whatever it might be, putting on lipstick, looking at the way that we dress, looking at the way we present ourselves, at the way that we that we are standing, instead of sort of slouching and looking quite defeated. That's going to help you to learn self-confidence, and you will pick up how individuals are responding to you, and you will also continue then to put that into place and be more confident. So you just have to make that decision to take these steps to be more confident. So I want to ask here, some of those that mentioned that they're feeling very confident today. Are there any particular tips that you can share with us, how you make sure that you feel more confident?
Hi, Carol. I've got a tip for you. I definitely think
Yes.
that maybe positive self-talk in the morning. So very often we wake up in the morning and we might say, oh, I'm feeling unhappy, or I'm feeling this. But when I brush my teeth and I'm looking at the mirror, I sort of tell myself, I can do it. I can do it. And that sort of
Lovely.
mantra then improves my confidence level as I go out into the day.
Lovely. Thank you, Val. Yes, I've heard of people that even use little post-its and stick them on their mirrors. So in the morning when they are getting dressed, or like you say, brushing your teeth, they read a positive self-message that helps to rewire the brain as well, and helps us to think more positive thoughts, and starting the day with that is really, really a good tip, because that will lay the foundation for the rest of the day. Anybody else feeling brave and want to share any tips that they use?
Hello. 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 Can you go to me?
Hi.
Yes,
my
we
name
can
is
hear you. We can
my
hear
name is
you.
Mitology.
Hi.
I would kindly like to share some of the things that I do during the morning. Some of the things normally I do it in meditation when I wake up in the morning. Yeah, that
Lovely.
will also revise my day, and also looking myself in a sense of in the mirror, or look at myself, looking things that I do, and feel more gratitude about things that I accomplished, and also look things that I need to accomplish. I think that's one of the things that brings more confidence on me during the morning.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I love that you use meditation. I think that is such a useful tool. I always confess that it's one of those things, a skill I would certainly like to start using, and I always have excuses for why I don't. But it's really lovely that you find that helpful, and it's a really good way to start your day as well. So thank you for sharing that. Right.
Hi,
For
Carol.
Hi there. Hi.
It's Tops here.
Hi, Tops.
Okay, I was trying to share how I boost my confidence every morning. I have next to my bed, I'm actually doing this webinar in my bedroom.
Lovely.
Next to my bed, I have declarations that I have on my wall. Every morning, I tell myself that I declare that I'm blessed. I declare that I'm creative, I'm courageous, I have the ability to do anything. Anything is possible. I'm blessed in the city. I'm blessed when I go in. I'm blessed when I go out. So I have all these declarations that I take from the Bible, from the book of Deuteronomy 28. And I say it to myself every morning. And then it builds my confidence, even if I feel down on that day. But I know that I can do all things.
Lovely.
I'm a spiritual person, so I say I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Then it gives me that, that pick up it's a pickup for me in the morning to do those declarations. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Tops, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, we can even see how you've made it so visual, almost like a vision board that you have there, so you can't lose sight of that. That is so powerful. So thank you for sharing, and I love that you say declarations, that you have declarations. That is really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Very helpful.
Hello.
All right. Hi.
Listen, I've got a question there.
Yes.
Tell me, what are some of the ways I hear that some of the learners or students say that they have mostly, I don't know how to put this thing, but I wanted to know what is the way of making someone to have more self-confidence about life generally and also about school and everything. I don't know, to boost their moral esteem.
Okay. Oh, that's a good question, $1 million question, I think. And you know what? All I can say to you is yes, it's challenging. I think we know even where we are now in in our country. I was reading last night about unemployment rates. We're sitting at something like 2.2 million people, that are unemployed so far this year. There's so much negative news out there, and obviously that impacts on our self-esteem. It impacts on our self-confidence. I think it impacts on our motivation, which we'll go on to now as well. But it's very hard, but it can be done to keep a positive frame of mind, to see what you can do to filter out the negative. And sometimes, I take a breather from social media. I take a breather from reading the news because so many negative messages are coming in all the time. And what I try to do then is focus on the positive things that I can see in my life, the people that I have, the blessings that I do have in my life that I sometimes lose sight of. And then I even look a little bit, beyond just my home and my family and that, but I try to look at the positives in my community as well. Oh, sorry. One of the things, for example, for me that was so positive that came out of the lockdown is that my neighborhood decided to start a group, on WhatsApp. And one of the things we do on there is obviously we just alert each other if somebody's lost power, or if there's load shedding going to happen, or there might be. The other day there was somebody on the corner that looked like he was injured that we were worried about, and we wanted to call for help. But also from that group, one of the positive things came out was a sense of community that I've never had before. I've lived here in this house for 5 years, and people were sharing things, like, oh my goodness, my electricity's tripped and I don't know what's going on. Does anybody have an electrician? And somebody would say, you know what, I could run an extension cord from my window to your window so that you can charge your cell phone quickly or charge your laptop. And there's such a sense of community that has come that I never saw before. But what I'm sharing with that is just, if we focus on the negative, we only see the negative, and we tend to get a lot of negative into our lives, and the messages and the self-talk in our head become negative. If we shift the way we look at things and we shift our thinking to try look for the positive, identify the positive, and we focus on that, then suddenly we see more of it and we realize that there is more of it out there. It's not all as negative as we think. So I'm sorry that I can't go on about that too much, but I hope that just helps you a little bit in terms of that shift in the way we see things.
All is clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome, and thank you for your question. I appreciate that. It's good food for thought. All right, so I'm going to share a short video here as we just sort of tie up a little bit about the confidence, and then we're going to look a little bit of self-esteem. I'm just keeping an eye on time as well.
Sorry, can I please ask everybody to please mute themselves and turn their cameras off, just so that we can have improved sound quality. And Talisi, if I could ask you, please turn your camera off for everybody else and place yourselves on mute. And just a reminder that we will be opening the floor later on for questions. We will make sure we definitely will leave enough time for that. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Val, no problem. Whoops, it's jumped ahead, sorry. We'll start that again, there we go.
Sorry, Carol, there was no sound.
Okay, can you hear now, Val?
No. Would you like me to share it?
Sure, sorry, yes. I can hear it, but Shame, go ahead. I'll stop presenting for a minute.
Okay, Carol, if you could check sound for me.
No problem. Yes, I can hear it, Val.
Thank you.
When faced with a big challenge where potential failure seems to lurk at every corner, maybe you've heard this advice before. Be more confident. And most likely, this is what you think when you hear it. If only it were that simple. But what is confidence? Take the belief that you are valuable, worthwhile, and capable, also known as self-esteem. Add in the optimism that comes when you are certain of your abilities. And then empowered by these, act courageously to face a challenge head on. This is confidence. It turns thoughts into action. So where does confidence even come from? There are several factors that impact confidence. 1, what you're born with, such as your genes, which will impact things like the balance of neurochemicals in your brain. 2, how you're treated. This includes the social pressures of your environment. And 3, the part you have control over, the choices you make, the risks you take, and how you think about and respond to challenges and setbacks. It isn't possible to completely untangle these 3 factors, but the personal choices we make certainly play a major role in confidence development. So, by keeping in mind a few practical tips, we do actually have the power to cultivate our own confidence. Tip 1, a quick fix. There are a few tricks that can give you an immediate confidence boost in the short term. Picture your success when you're beginning a difficult task. Something as simple as listening to music with deep bass. It can promote feelings of even strike a self-confidence. Consider the way you think about your abilities and talents. Do you think they are fixed at birth, or that they can be developed, like a muscle? These beliefs matter because they can influence how you act when you're faced with setbacks. If you have a fixed mindset, meaning that you think your talents are locked in place, you might give up, assuming you've discovered something you're not very good at. But if you have a growth mindset and think your abilities can improve, a challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. Neuroscience supports the growth mindset. The connections in your brain do get stronger and grow with study and practice. It also turns out, on average, people who have a growth mindset are more successful, getting better grades, and doing better in the face of challenges. Tip 3, practice failure. Face it, you're going to fail sometimes. Everyone does. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 different publishers before one picked up Harry Potter. The Wright brothers built on history's failed attempts at flight. including some of their own, before designing a successful airplane. Studies show that those who fail regularly and keep trying anyway are better equipped to respond to challenges and setbacks in a constructive way. They learn how to try different strategies, ask others for advice, and persevere. So, think of a challenge you want to take on. Realize it's not going to be easy. Accept that you'll make mistakes, and be kind to yourself when you do. Give yourself a pep talk, stand up, and go for it. The excitement you'll feel knowing that whatever the result, you'll have gained greater knowledge and understanding. This is confidence.
Thank you, Carol. Back over to you. That was awesome. Sorry, Carol, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm hoping that everyone picked up from there some of the key things. The quick fix, which I mentioned, was something like putting on your favorite tie, your best jacket or suit, or even your posh pair of shoes that make you feel really good. And one of the things they mentioned there was visualizing. Visualize how you will feel, or visualize that moment when you, for example, achieve your qualification, where you pass that certificate you've been studying so hard towards, as an example. And then something else I picked up from that was to be kind. Be kind to yourself, because we're all going to fail at some time, but picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, learning the lesson from that, and then moving forward. And the decisions you make and your belief in yourself, and whether you have a growth mindset, is what's going to make all of the difference. So I hope those are some of the key things that you picked up from that video as well. So we're going to move, and as I said, motivation and self-confidence. Sorry, I know someone's mic is on. But if you can give some thought to whether you are motivated right now. I think just in general, are you feeling you're in a good space? Are you motivated to achieve all your goals and dreams at the moment? Are you feeling quite average, like you've maybe lost a bit of sight of them? Or are you feeling that your motivation's really poor and low, and that you're struggling with it? So you can pop onto that Mentimeter that was shared at the beginning and just give us your score there. All right. Anybody giving some scores?
Not as yet, Carol. Team, just a reminder, in order to participate on the Menti scores, you need to go to menti.com and use the code 816997. At the moment, we've got a couple of people rating themselves 6 out of 10 for average. One is super motivated, 10 out of 10, but the majority, and a couple less than 5 out of 10, but the majority, 67% of people are rating themselves average when it comes to their motivation levels. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. Let's give it 2 more minutes. Just a reminder, please go to menti.com. In order to use it, it is anonymous, menti.com, and then the code is 816997. And literally you can rate yourself 6 out of 10 for average, 10 out of 10 for super motivated, or less than 5 out of 10 for poor. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. 30% of people super motivated, 60% average, and 10% poor. So we have a lot of motivated people on the line.
Lovely. That's so good to hear. And I said to you guys at the beginning, just like our self-esteem, our self-confidence, our motivation can also change. We do have bad days. Something I hope you'll take away from here is that we also have the power to make the decision to have a good day, to be motivated, to feel confident on that day. A lot of it is about our mindset. But it is lovely to hear some people are feeling really motivated. Maybe it's got something to do with us having moved out of the cold winter months. We've also moved to level 1 in terms of our lockdown. So maybe there's a little bit more of positivity and people feeling that they can get things done. So that is really good to hear. But yeah, what is motivation? It's also like self-esteem. We use this term so often, I'm just not motivated to get this done. And as soon as we tell ourselves that, we lose the motivation to get it done and we start to fall behind. So motivation is an internal process. It's something within us. And it's through that we direct our behavior, and it normally is directed or adjusted towards the achievement of goals. So using just an example, I'm thinking of my studies that, as you heard, I recently completed. I had days where I was very motivated towards that goal of achieving my qualification, of getting my assignments done, because I knew those were the baby steps I needed to take to get to that final, stage of passing and obtaining the degree or not. And there were days where life just seemed a little bit rough, and my motivation was nowhere to be found. I couldn't get myself to sit down and read anything, and it would be, I'll do this tomorrow, or you know what, this weekend I know I'll find the motivation and I'll sit down and I'll get it done. But the motivation comes from within us. It's an internal process, and again, a decision that we make, which then guides our behavior. So it's an internal state or process that arouses, directs, and maintains our behavior. And there are two different kinds of motivation, and something I'd like you to think about in relation to some of your goals and dreams and aspirations you have at the moment is to identify where's your motivation coming from. Is it intrinsic motivation, meaning that that thing, that goal is a reward within itself? So, for example, if I again use my studies as a recent achievement in my mind, getting that degree was a reward on itself. Just knowing I was going to get that qualification and that the hard work would pay off. And yes, I'd get a certificate that I could frame. I also thought I'd have a graduation, which didn't happen, but that's also okay. But an extrinsic motivation is where we are more motivated by external factors such as rewards and punishment. So, sometimes we are motivated by even the fear of something, the fear of what other people will say, and that they will think I'm a failure if I don't achieve this. Or, if I study really hard and I get my degree, then I will then get a job, and the reward will be that I earn an income, for example. So extrinsic motivation isn't bad. We do need those carrots dangled in front of us, if I can put it that way, to keep us moving forward. But intrinsic motivation is key. Are we doing it for ourselves, and are we doing it just for the reward of actually achieving that thing on its own? So I want you to think about that, because often our extrinsic motivation, our external motivation, can let us down, and it can put, stumbling blocks. Whereas if within ourselves, we know that, this is something that we want, and that sense of achievement will be worth it, it helps to keep us going and helps to keep us motivated. So why do we struggle with motivation? Well, as I said to you, so closely linked to our confidence. So we lack the confidence. We don't believe in our ability to succeed. Maybe it's learned behavior. We've failed a few times before. We haven't yet learned that we can pick ourselves up. We haven't yet learned what our strengths are to keep us going. We haven't learned some of those tricks to keep us confident. And therefore, we struggle to find that motivation to keep moving forward. And we have a lack of focus or purpose. We don't actually know what we want. Maybe we're just doing something for the sake of doing it, or we don't really even know what we're doing. And there's no direction, no focus to keep us moving forward. So we easily get sidetracked and lose motivation and put things off for another day. And then closely linked to that, a lack of direction or goals, not knowing what to do or how to do it. So, for example, I for a long time knew I wanted to study, but I lacked the motivation to commit to anything because I had no idea what my end goal was. I had no idea what direction I wanted to take. And I did a lot of soul searching. I also did a lot of sort of looking at what are my strengths. And with that realized, I am a social worker, and that my strengths do lie in my abilities to help, other people. I definitely have confidence there. And I then looked into the different areas that I could study. For example, an MBA was an option. And I realized there was no ways I was going to stay focused and motivated to do something like an MBA because it wasn't an area that I'm particularly interested in either. When I found my degree and I had my goal that I wanted to get an occupational social work master's, it gave me the confidence to do it, and it gave me the direction, and I had a sense of purpose, and that kept me motivated, even though there were those odd bad days. So let's hear from you what impacts your motivation level? So those of you that are feeling motivated today, what impacts your level of motivation? Is it internal? Is it external? If there's anyone that wants to take a bash and give us an answer, especially somebody that's feeling motivated.
We've got some lovely feedback. People are saying success in myself, not to give up. So resilience, I won't fail. So reminding themselves that they won't fail. So some great feedback on the Menti polling line. Just a reminder, team, to send in those comments.
Lovely. So that also ties in with some of the things you've shared about how you stay or how you build your self-confidence. So again, I'm hoping you can see the connection between the two, and telling yourself things like, I won't fail, or it's okay to fail, I'll pick myself up again. Those are all the sort of things that can keep you motivated and keep you going, not giving into those negative thoughts and those negative voices that we sometimes hear in our heads. All right. Val, shall I?
Absolutely. You can carry on, or I can quickly share the single screen, but you can carry on. There's just affirmations. I won't fail myself, declarations, resilience, finishing what I started, determination, a feeling like I want to reach the end. I want to achieve that goal. So some very, very positive feedback. The feeling of self-satisfaction, and of not giving up on ourselves. So great.
Lovely. I'm hearing a lot of intrinsic motivation, which is great.
Yes.
It's coming from within individuals. So that is really lovely. All right, so I want to share with you, this is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you've ever, studied anything, maybe, just a basic sort of psychology type of course, or sociology, or anything around the social sciences, you've probably come across Maslow's model of motivation. It's called the hierarchy of needs. So basically, and this was back in the 70s or something, but he was a psychologist and he tried to understand what motivates people. And he came up with this pyramid and 3 levels of needs that will keep motivating us. And the key thing for him was how we need to satisfy what they call the lower level needs before we can achieve the high level needs. And he divided those into our basic needs. They're also our needs for survival, to be honest, our psychological needs, and then our self-fulfillment needs. So looking at the basic needs and the very foundation of this pyramid, which is great because it also shows the path, the purpose going upwards. But he called them, or they are, physiological needs. So before we can start with anything and start to work towards being a better person and achieving our goals and what we want out of life, we have to have our basic needs met of food, water, warmth, rest, all those survival sort of instincts that we have. Those need to be fulfilled first. Then we also have safety needs. So knowing that we are safe, feeling secure, and that's not in a psychological perspective, that's in terms of just where we are in our space. And when I look at this model, I do feel a little bit sad because I know in South Africa we have a lot of people whose basic needs aren't being met. We have young children that go to school without having had breakfast, for example. So how do we expect them to think about, fulfilling their goals and their potential and their purpose in life, where they still need to fulfill their very basic needs of being feeling safe, being safe, making sure that they have food and water and that sort of thing. So we've got a lot of work to do as a community, just or as a country, on those bottom needs. But moving on from there, once those are in place, we're able to look at our psychological needs. And those are our needs of belonging and feeling loved. So it's looking at our relationships and our friendships, our social circles, our tribe that I mentioned earlier. And when we feel that we belong and we feel cared for and loved, we can also start moving forward and looking at how we feel about ourselves, feeling that we're starting, to be accomplished, and basically our self-esteem needs start to be met. And once we're in a good space with that, and our self-esteem and our feeling of our self-confidence and abilities are there, we're able to look at being the best person that we can possibly be, and achieving what Maslow called self-actualization. And that's just achieving one's full potential, including, being creative and solution-focused and things like that. So I just wanted to share this with you. Maybe if you are more interested, have a look. Maybe you can plot yourself here and see where you are. Are you one of the, fortunate who feels all the other foundations are there, all the other blocks are there, and you are at a space where you can really focus on achieving your full potential and being the best person that you can be? Or are there still some other needs that you have down on the lower levels that need to be addressed so that you can get to that space where you're looking at the top of the pyramid? All right. And I wanted to share this as a little joke, because as I was looking for an image on those hierarchy of needs, I came across this one, and it shares that there's now actually other levels of needs that even come before food and water, and that's battery life on our cell phone and our laptops, and even Wi-Fi. So I thought that was quite funny, and I just wanted to share that with you all, because we know life comes to a complete standstill if we don't have Wi-Fi or if we run out of battery life on our cell phone. All right, so staying motivated, to quickly look at some tips here. You have to have a cause. There has to be a reason for why you're doing what you're doing. You have to have a dream. You have to have that vision of the end goal of what you want for yourself. You have to set goals, which I'm going to look at in the next slide for you. You have to be hungry, and I'm not talking about starving yourself and needing food. I'm talking about hungry in that it's something that you want, that this really means something to you and you are hungry to achieve it. And that's something, that is like a burning desire within you. And you have to run your own race. That comes back to don't compare yourself to others. Run your own race. This is your journey. This is your path. This is your pyramid that you're working on. So run your own race and stop looking back at where the others are. And then just take one more step. So there are those days that it's really hard, using the example of having an assignment or a test or an exam to come up. We don't even know how to get started. There's so much information we have to take in. But take that tiny step, just start with reading, one of your textbooks or one of the articles that you have or some of the slides that you have. Just take those baby steps to get yourself going, and that will keep you motivated and keep you moving forward. And let go of the past. I've said already, sometimes we've made mistakes in the past. We've had failure in the past. We can't let that hold us down. We need to make peace with that. We need to move forward, and we need to look at who we are right now, what strengths do we have right now, and what can we use where and what we are right now to keep us moving forward towards that dream or that vision that we have. So some quick steps on setting goals. They have to be SMART goals. If you're going to set yourself goals that are really, airy fairy and unachievable, my goal might, I don't know. My son always tells me he wants to be president of the country. I don't know. He has this goal in mind. But if you don't have a SMART goal, and SMART is broken down into specific and clear. So, for example, I'm just going to use, I want to obtain my qualification. That is it. I want to pass and obtain my qualification, get my degree or my certificate. The M will be, is it measurable? So how will I measure that I'm getting to it? And how will I measure when I've achieved it? Well, I'm going to measure it through the assignments and the tests and that I do along the way that will show me, am I getting towards my goal? Am I doing well? Am I passing? Am I getting the points and the scores and the, the pass rate that I need to reach that end goal? Is it achievable? I mean, is it feasible? Can it be done? Well, if you haven't even registered for that course, then of course it can't be. For my son, I don't quite know that being the president one day is feasible, for him. I just don't see him having those kind of leadership skills. And do we have control or influence? Sorry, influence is spelled a bit wrong there, but is it feasible? Is it something that can be done, and is it achievable? And then R, is it relevant and recorded? So I like what Tops had shared in terms of her declarations. They were recorded. They're relevant for her. They're written down. She can see them, and that's going to help her to get towards them. And then, are they time bound? Without a time frame, again, we just lost, and we're going to lose motivation along the way. We're going to put things off continuously, and we blink and it's the end of the year and we've achieved nothing. So you have to set a realistic time frame for those achievements as well. Right, and then a quick guide just in terms of setting those effective goals. Write them down. All right, there's taking ownership of your goals and of your dreams and your visions is so important, and writing them down. Stick them up where you can see them. Put them on a post-it or a sticky note on your mirror or in your cupboard so you see them, or on your fridge, or if you carry a notebook around with you, have them written as the first page of that book, because that will help to reinforce them and make them real and make them achievable. And recite them every day. Remind yourself every day, why are you doing this and what it is that you're doing, and declare them in public. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and say, you know what, I'm going to get this qualification and I'm going to get it with the best marks possible. Just watch this space. I'm going to graduate next year, because then people will hold you accountable to it as well. And until you personally start to believe in your goals, you will not achieve them. So if you're not invested, if they're not intrinsic, if they're not coming from within you, you're not going to achieve them, because you won't be motivated and you'll lose sight, and you're not going to build your confidence as you move towards that end goal. So remember to dream big, as long as it's achievable. Dream big, keep working towards it, and do small acts along the way. So it's those baby steps I refer to, and start now. Procrastination is something that really can put a spanner in the works for us. So you need to start working on it now. Don't put off things believing there's always a better time. There is no better time than now. All right, and here's a goal challenge for you that can help get you on your way, that can help you find some self-confidence, that can help you to stay motivated. So the challenge is a 30-day challenge. Write down 5 little goals each day. Okay, they don't have to be goals that mean you're going to be president or that you're going to take over the world one day. Just 5 little goals that you'd like to achieve. You know, it could be as basic as, you know, today I'm going to look after my health a little bit more. So I'm going to drink more water, and I'm going to eat more fruit, and I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to do just 30 minutes of studying this afternoon, and I want to cook supper for my family. So 5 achievable goals for the day. And when you add them up, it comes to 150 little wins in a month time, which sounds overwhelming when you look at 150. But if you break it down to 5 a day, write them down, tick them off as you achieve them, or put a big smiley face next to them as you achieve them, you'll see you quickly going to be on your way to achieving 150 little wins in that month. This will allow your confidence to grow as you're not only achieving your small goals, but you are learning to focus, you're learning to have discipline, you're learning to have that grit or resilience to keep focused, and it will also build your stamina to keep you going. And in doing this, you'll have rewired your brain and created a habit. As such, you are allowing your goals to become a reality. All right, so that's a challenge to you. See how long you can keep it going for. Even if you can't make the 30 days, try it for 10 days. Write down those little goals. Start rewiring your brain towards achieving, towards working towards goals, and towards moving forward. And then just quickly to sum up here, the link between self-confidence and self-motivation. You'll stay motivated and focused on your goals and your dreams when you have confidence in yourself, and you will build your confidence in yourself when you are motivated and you are achieving your goals. And if you are living your purpose and with passion, you will be motivated and have self-confidence. All right, so that Val once asked that, if I'm not mistaken. Val, you once asked in I think a talk or something you gave to my team, and you said, you know, what is your purpose? What is your passion? And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, good Lord, what is my purpose? What is my passion? I don't even know. And it's a question we have to ask ourselves. It gives us direction. It keeps us motivated. We have to live a life with purpose. And that's a challenge Val gave to me that I'm putting out to all of you today. And I promise
that's a great challenge. Absolutely love that. Thank you, Carol, for sharing it.
Thank you, Val. So yes, to end off, I want to leave you with a little mantra that you can live by. One of the sticky notes you can maybe put up and use. I may not be perfect, but parts of me are pretty awesome. Okay, so it's something you can repeat to yourself, something to keep you going, something for a little bit of positive self-talk when you need it, a little bit of positive voices in your head when you make a mistake, or where you do fail, or you don't quite achieve what you wanted to do. I may not be perfect, but parts of me are pretty awesome. And find those pretty awesome parts and build on them, because you'll find that they will multiply. You'll start noticing other parts of you that are pretty awesome, and other aspects of you that are pretty awesome. And people will notice that, and they'll tell you, and they'll compliment you, and that will help to build your self-confidence as well. So it's also intertwined, but that's a challenge. Maybe repeat this to yourself every morning. If you don't already have a declaration that you use, or keep this in mind for where you are just having a bit of a rough ride and you need to rewire your brain and say something positive to yourself. The resources I just wanted to share with you, I feel it's very important at this time for all of us that we are aware of help out there. If we're feeling stuck, if we are feeling there are more bad days than good days, or our motivation is just not picking up at any stage, or self-confidence is not picking up. I know Val does send this out to you at the end, so you will have these resources out. If you want to quickly take a screen shot with your cell phone, you're very welcome to do that. But these are some really helpful resources out there that you can reach out to at no cost. Many of you have shared that you are spiritual. I'm sure that you have ministers or pastors that you can turn to as well. So please don't forget about that. Turn to those positive people in your life that are there for you as well. And don't be afraid to speak out when you feel you just need a little bit of extra support to get through the bad days. And I want to finish off with tied into the video for me as well, tied into something Val said earlier about resilience, and it's a quote from Nelson Mandela. He said, "Do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." And I find that very powerful. You know, we become so focused on success, and we become so focused on, you know, judging other people by what we perceive their success to be, and that's not what it's all about. It's about, you know, where people we've fallen down, we've been knocked by life, but we've managed to get back up again, pick ourselves up, take a deep breath, see what lesson can I learn from this, pull on my strengths, pull on my resources, and get back up and keep moving forward. And that's the message I'd like to finish off with today. So thank you, everyone. If there's questions, let's go into that. I'm very aware we've gone a little bit over time, but yeah, are there any questions or comments?
Thank you very much, Carol. This was amazing. You know, I've run out of words what to say. You know? Okay. On behalf of the AOI team and all the participants joining us today, you know, thank you very much. It was an amazing and an insightful topic. You know, I really enjoyed it. You know? Thank you,
Thabo. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that, Carol, the comments on the chat function are going mad with so many positive comments, people saying that's exactly what we needed to hear. So I think it's something we all struggle with, and I just think it's awesome that you've addressed it in such a positive way. But maybe let's open the floor to a couple of questions if you still have time, Carol, because sure. I know that time is also valuable.
Yeah. I do, not to worry, Val, I am available. Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. So over to you, Thabo, if there are any questions on the group.
Okay, I had a question earlier from Enza. They said they are a peer educator, and can you give them a few tips on positive awareness?
Okay, sorry, did you say on positive awareness?
Yeah, positive awareness.
Okay. I'm trying to quickly think of anything specific. I'm afraid I might repeat myself on some of the things that I've shared. Yeah, just in terms of trying to look for the positives, acknowledging them, I think writing them down. And maybe a nice exercise, if I imagine, as you know, as a peer educator, there's possibly a team of peer educators, and you sometimes work maybe with other students or learners. So maybe do a bit of an exercise where everybody, you know, shares what are some of the positive things they see right now. What are some of the positive you know, declarations. I'm loving that word today. That's I'm leaving with that word. You know, writing those down, looking at how they can challenge negative thoughts, and looking at how they can challenge the negative messages that are constantly coming through. Yeah, so I don't know if that's helpful. I'm hoping some of the things we shared at the end might have helped.
Another a good idea, just to interject maybe, Carol, is in terms of if you're a peer educator to a group of young people, maybe encouraging them all to write down something that they admire about the other person.
Yes.
Because I think one of the ways in which we can build confidence is by acknowledging other people's positive qualities. So in a group setting, you know, to say, what do I admire about Carol, for example? Well, I admire her public speaking ability. I admire her passion. I admire her empathy. And maybe those are things that that person hasn't heard before. So to do a little exercise like that potentially could help really build up confidence within those individuals.
Absolutely. Thank you, Val. That's a lovely idea. You've reminded me of an exercise that I've done when I was doing some life skills and things at schools in the past. But you can maybe if people are a little bit shy in the group to speak out, what you could do is just take, like an A4 piece of paper. The individual writes their name at the top, and they pass the piece of paper around to everyone in the group, and everyone writes that positive affirmation, or that that positive message, that positive that strength they've seen in that person, the compliment. And at the end, the individual gets the paper back, they can open it up, and they can keep that, and anytime they're feeling a little bit down or too negative, they can sit and read those compliments again and read those positive thoughts. So thank you, Val. That's a really lovely idea.
Yeah. And we also have Joel raising his hand.
Yes, Joel, I see your hand.
Joel, you can speak now.
Hello, yes.
Hi, Joel. Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, definitely.
Hi, so much. This incredible motivation. I have a fear of registering with institutions. I keep shopping around, whereby and that fear doesn't even go away. I don't know if it's a fear of an institution not well registered or not well recognized. I don't know if you can assist me regarding that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Carol, if I could answer that one.
Yes, go ahead, Val. Yes.
Hi, Joel.
Hi.
Joel, I think your fear is normal. There are more non-registered, non-accredited colleges than accredited colleges in South Africa. So I think fear is very often what holds us back. So I would definitely say that sometimes you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. I would encourage you to take a look at the Academy of York website, which I'm going to ask Thabo to send you the link of, and also to take a look and to talk to some of our past students. I think that let them tell you why Academy of York was the good college for them. And I do think it's about finding the right fit of college. Some colleges will literally send you the books and you'll never hear from them again. Other colleges are really committed to what we call student support. So I think that it's sometimes in life you've got to ask yourself, why am I feeling fearful? Sometimes it's a case of you fearing the studying. What is it that you're fearing? Maybe you're fearing the financial commitment, but sometimes you've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. But I certainly think in terms of colleges, rather let our students tell you why they selected to study with Academy of York, as opposed to me telling you why it's a good college to choose.
I can see it now prior to whatever Carol was saying online. Hopefully, yes. I think I can see the lights now, and my demise of that fear obviously is I have to pick up Academy of York.
There you go. Take the first step, Joel. Take the first step.
Okay, no, that's great.
It. Absolutely. And that will help you to keep motivated, Joel, when you know you're in the right hands and you studying with something that is accredited, and that at the end of the day that qualification, that certificate is going to mean something, and you haven't wasted time, energy and money. That's so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for your question. All right.
Carol, I think today we covered a lot. The session itself was very informative, was very descriptive. We don't have much questions. We over 10 minutes with the session, so I think that's it for today. It was amazing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tomo. And thank you to everyone for the positive messages on the side. I really hope there's something you can all take away from this, and just keep your eyes on the goals and take baby steps to get there. You can do it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tabo. Thank you, Val.
Thank you so much, Carol. Absolutely appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Ayikholana uzowami awukholana ilondoloze